Okay, so some music drama, some music news happening in the world right now. Neil Young, of all people, is in the news right now because Spotify kicked all of his music off because I guess there was some Joe Rogan episode that he had some information that Neil did not like and made a statement basically saying it's him or me.
It was like an open letter, like for the public to read as well.
Yeah,
basically just like putting his views out there and making a stand. And I read a little bit about it, and it's something he's very consistent of through his whole career, is being very open with just his politics, his views on everything. Always been very upfront, speaking for what he believes. And this is one where it really is kind of like putting himself out there,
Yeah.
And it feels like he knew what the outcome was going to be before he even did it.
Yeah, because to say him or me, I mean, how many Spotify listeners does Neil Young have? Can you pull that up?
Yeah. He's got 6 million.
Okay, so 6 million monthly listeners.
And his stuff's already gone, too.
Yeah, it's gone. You really can't listen to him on there. So, he had to know the outcome when he goes, it's either him or me. And Joe Rogan, I think we looked it up, like 11 million monthly listeners for every episode. Not even monthly, sorry. 11 million listeners every episode. And he drops like 3 to 5 episodes a week.
Yeah.
So obviously, he knows probably whose side they're on. I think they paid him something, allegedly around like $200 million, I think is what Spotify paid Joe Rogan to just be on their platform for sure. Now, we're not going to get into the politics of it all because, regardless of if you think Neil's on the correct side or Joe's on the correct side or whatever we think, it doesn't really matter ultimately because either way, this is going to fundamentally shift, especially a lot of the music culture on Spotify. I mean, for us, the way we listen to music is here on Spotify when we listen to Neil Young, and we're going to hit him in the future, obviously.
So the way in which we do it is just going to have to change.
Yeah.
Like either different streaming service, through YouTube, some other platform. But the whole point is like it's about input, output, outcomes. And it's like we're just not going to be able to listen to him on Spotify anymore.
Yeah, and with that, obviously just Neil doing it by himself, it's a pretty clear choice. But you probably saw it from the title, but even Joni Mitchell, even on her website, we're going to pull that up here, she even released a statement basically saying, I stand with Neil, like I stand on his side, and so I'm removing all my music from Spotify as well.
And not even saying like, like not even another thing where it's like him or me or whatever. It's just saying I already did it.
Yeah.
It's already in motion, basically.
Yeah. So I wonder what that's going to do, shifting the landscape. I wonder if it's just going to be relegated to classic rock artists or not. I can't imagine it will.
Yeah, because again, it's like at first it seems like always stood up for what you believe in. It's a very respectable thing, but it's like, what do you think was going to happen? And it makes a lot more sense now that Joni, like at least what his intention might have been. It feels like he almost always knew from the get-go that they were going to choose Joe Rogan over him. But now with Joni Mitchell coming along, it's like, what other artists might jump on this bandwagon, making a statement saying like, no, like I'm not okay with what's happening or whatever.
Yeah, it's just really delicate. I don't always love how political music can get just because I know, we try to stay out of it. I think a lot of people try. I mean, it's like the classic thing of like Thanksgiving dinner. It's
we're like an escape from that world.
Yeah.
What I mean? It's keeping about the music.
But in the same regard, this is Neil Young. This is the same person who is like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young with like Ohio and all these other things. So it's politics is something that's, all throughout his music. It does make sense for what he's saying. But man, I feel like in some ways it's going to hurt some of the ability to listen to him, especially for younger audiences, which kind of sucks. But in the same way, you might not know this, but Spotify pays abnormally low as far as streaming services are concerned. One of the lowest ones across the board. So he'll probably go onto like iTunes Music. It'll probably still be there, Apple Music, some other ones. And they pay significantly more. So if this becomes a big shift, I can easily see it. A lot of artists jumping off just for the sheer fact of like, let's double my monthly income by going to these other streaming platforms.
Yeah, so and I definitely could see even more modern artists jumping on this bandwagon too, just in terms of just making their statement. I don't know, maybe it's what they believe in and they want to jump on board too. But I could see modern artists doing it where it might be much more of a serious thing for Spotify to consider. It's like, what if like Drake, Ariana Grande, The Weeknd, like what if the Beatles, like whoever, like also pulls out? It's a point where you made a $200 million investment on Joe Rogan. They want the return on that, obviously, but it's all numbers. So $200 million investment versus it could be potentially multi-billion-dollar loss if certain artists do it. And it wasn't clear at first, but apparently he's trying to roll, like, I don't know if it was his intention, but it's creating like a snowball effect. And I guess I'm just kind of curious how big the snowball is going to get and what implications that's going to have on streaming in general.
Yeah. No, it's definitely something to consider. And I wonder what other companies follow suit. Like, there's got to be a bunch of them now that, if this ever happens in the future, history repeats itself. You have somebody pulls it off of here because of someone else. Something like YouTube. I mean, like, Don Henley is very, very open about, we just hit him on Patreon, not putting his music on YouTube at all. But I can imagine there's probably a bunch of artists that would go, you have this guy on YouTube, I don't like his presence, so I'm going to pull it off YouTube, put it somewhere else. And it just becomes this, like, almost like vying for which application, which is sad, man, because think about, like I don't know if you guys, like, watch Netflix or Hulu, but there's a bunch of those shows where it's like, oh, we're only going to put it on one streaming platform. So rather than, if you want to just, like, watch cable and see all the shows, now you have to go, like, all right, you have to have Netflix subscription and then a Hulu and then an HBO,
whatever,
tons of them. So my only worry is getting it to a point like that where it's just everything becomes so, like, such a commodity and it becomes so dispersed. The really cool thing about something like Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon Music, it's centralized. You can pretty much hear everyone.
That's a selling point for the platform.
Yeah.
And a platform becomes less marketable if you're not filling all of that, essentially.
Yeah.
And okay, so Neil Young has 6 million. Let's see how much Joni Mitchell has.
Yeah. Okay.
3.7 million. Substantial. And the thing is, too, it's like their numbers say one thing, but also, Spotify is used way more just primarily from a younger audience standpoint. So these artists are, a lot more influential and just a lot bigger than what the numbers might show compared to modern artists.
Yeah.
So maybe they're not feeling the hit as much because it's like, 6 million here, 4 million here. But, somebody like Drake, I think over like 50 million.
Something
it's
crazy like that.
It gets to a point where they would take extremely heavy losses, and not even just from the streams, but also just from the fact that it's no longer a selling point having all the artists that people are going to listen to on the platform.
Yeah. No, it's definitely massive.
And just in general, the whole thing is crazy. Like, such a ballsy move for Neil Young just to pull up, have that open public letter, and making that statement saying, like, him or me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, right or wrong, just a lot.
Yeah, or even indifferent. It doesn't really matter, man. There's a lot of artists that I think will follow suit. Maybe they won't, but definitely interested to see, like, how the music culture kind of shifts with this. And I wonder if it's going to put more pressure on prior artists or newer artists, like what that's going to look out like. Either way, influential artist who is no longer going to be on the platform. So we'll find a new way to listen to him, and I'm sure you guys will too. But just interesting. We'll keep you up to date if there's anything crazy that happens with this, if it becomes a really big snowball, or if it fizzles out. We'll probably retouch it. But yeah, interesting. Let us know what you think in the comments. Yeah, and I'm really curious on what you think the outcome of all this will be, where the landscape kind of shifts, what your thoughts are on it. And also, where do you guys listen to your music mostly? Is it probably like we have a bunch of records in the back, but they're not portable. So how do you listen to them? On your phone? We know some people download their music there. But let us know in the comments. We'll be down there with you. And with that being said, we'll catch you next video.
See ya.